What's happening? This is Joshua Boetsi and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Right, excuse my voice on this video. I've noticed that over the last couple of days I'm sounding like Zed from Police Academy. It's a tail end of the flu, all that kind of thing, so I do apologise for my voice. Anyway, I was watching an interview with Anthony Yarde on IFL TV, and I was surprised at the amount of dislike for Anthony Yarde on that video, and I feel bad for him. I really do feel bad for him, but he needs to understand and he needs to hear why the fans are doing this. Because if you notice, on IFL TV videos, you get hundreds and thousands of thumbs up, and listen, a fair chunk of thumbs down. Let's not say that they don't, but with Anthony Yarde, it's overwhelming thumbs down, and the abuse in the comment section is disturbing, to be honest with you. And I've seen Anthony Yarde before, and of course his trainer, pretty much playing down like the fans don't know what it is that they're talking about. The fans don't know this and the fans don't know that. It's all a plan. But listen, if you want to be a success, then you do need to listen to the fans, and you do need to listen to constructive criticism. I'm not talking about the fans who go online and call you a piece of crap and what. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about constructive criticism. I like Anthony Yarde. I'm a huge fan of Anthony Yarde, and I believe in Anthony Yarde. But the problem is that he's not doing what we want him to do, in the sense of, we're not asking him to go after a world title. We're not asking him to fight a top 10, top 15 ranked opponent. We're not asking him to do that. All we want him to do is fight the domestic guys. There's a process, okay? When you turn pro, you take on some Southern area guys, then you kind of move up and maybe to a British and then Commonwealth kind of level, then European level, and then start to look at the top 10, top 15, and then ultimately challenge for the world title. That's how you progress. It's very basic stuff. Now, as I said, you see, I don't want to go in on Anthony Yarde because, as I said, I do like him, and of course, he's very good friends with Dillian Whyte. The last thing I want to do is get some abuse of Dillian Whyte, right? But Dillian will understand that it's constructive criticism that I need to give sometimes, which is a sense of Anthony Yarde. He's always got an excuse as to why he can't fight some domestic level guys. He says that he's better than these guys. Well, prove it. He talks about Joshua Boetsi. Well, that's a fight down the line in the future. Well, not necessarily. What happens if you lose? Listen, you're a huge light heavyweight. It's going to come a point where you're not going to be able to make that weight anymore, and you're going to have to go to cruiserweight. Now, I understand his point in this video where he's saying that, the likes of Lawrence Okoli and Isaac Chamberlain, they fought too early. I get it. I do get it, what it is that he's saying. But these guys had half the fights of what you've had. This is the problem. You see, we're not asking you to go in there and take a loss. But if you're confident of beating these guys, lions in the camp and all this kind of thing, then go take on Ricky Summers. Go take on Hosea Burton, because you're coming across as a little bit soft. This is the problem. And I don't want people thinking bad of Anthony Yarde. I don't want to be making these kind of videos about Anthony Yarde, but they need to be addressed. Frank Warren is protecting him. Now, people have said on plenty of occasions that Anthony Yarde, he's only had 12 amateur fights. Now, here's my response to this, and I've said it before, okay? And I'll keep on saying it. You decided to turn pro. Any fighter in the world who turns pro, you decided to turn pro. So when you turn pro, expectations are there. If you only had 12 amateur fights, why did you turn pro? You stopped a very, very important part of your career. Yes, you're learning on the job. Okay? Yes, he's only had 17 fights. But 17 fights is a pretty healthy amount. Now, I want to compare him to Dillian Whyte, for example, okay? Now, Dillian, he only had 7 amateur fights. And do you know what it was that Dillian Whyte was doing when he was 16-0, so 1 fight less? So in his 17th fight, he took on Anthony Joshua. And it wasn't for the money, it's because he was confident of beating him. Didn't quite work out, okay, fine. He injured his shoulder, all that kind of thing. But he didn't just come back and just go fight a bunch of no-hopers. Not at all. He had a fight to come back because he had shoulder surgery. And he took on Dave Allen, who was undefeated at the time. Then he took on Ian Lewison. Then he took on Derek Chisora. Then he went to America to take on Malcolm Tan. Okay, this was a bit of an exposure thing. Unfortunately, he didn't get much exposure from it. But still, he travelled to America to take on a guy who has had a decent career, granted, years gone by. Then he come back, he took on Robert Helenius, who was once tipped to be the next Vladimir Klitschko. He only ever had one loss on his record. That was against Duapa. And he was winning that fight. Until Duapa clipped him. It's heavyweight. It happens. You put Duapa in there with Helenius again, Helenius wins. I'm telling you. Then he took on, who did he take on after Robert Helenius? Lucas Brown. Then Joseph Parker. Next one could be a world title fight. Could be a WBC mandatory. Dylan White is a pay-per-view star now. Because he applied himself and he took a risk. He wasn't afraid to go in there and come up short. And he only had 5 amateur fights. When it comes down to Anthony Yarde, I like him, but there's no lions in the camp right now. You can't run around saying lions in the camp every 30 seconds. Because in a minute, it's like it's pussycats in the damn camp. As I said, this guy that you're taking on next. Okay, so listen, you can't con the public. And the public know this, okay? You keep fighting people that nobody's heard of. Nobody's heard of Mehdi Amar. And you're trying to build it like Mehdi Amar, well, you know what, he went the distance with Alexander Dvorak, who just defeated and knocked out Adonis Stevenson. Okay, that's fine. But Mehdi Amar has got 6 losses on his record. 2 draws. He's got 35 wins, 16 by knockout. Not the biggest puncher in the world. But guess what? Mehdi Amar has lost to far less opposition. Dvorak has also gone the distance with a couple of other guys who were journeymen who had like 20 losses on their record. Things happen. You can't sell this to us. Anthony Yarde versus Mehdi Amar, it's not a good look, man. For your 18th fight, it's not a good look. You need to have been taking on Ricky Summers. Why is it so difficult to take on Ricky Summers? Frank Warren is saying, well, maybe Buatsi needs to take on Callum Johnson or take on Jose Burton, and then we'll fight the winner. Why? Why do they have to do that? Why can't Anthony Yarde do it? It doesn't make any sense. What are you protecting him from? You see, you're giving people the impression that you're not confident. You're giving people the impression that you want to be cherry picking. We here in the UK, we can support you, but we don't accept cherry picking. Why do you think that we go in on the likes of Wilder? For quite some time, we were going in on Joe Calzaghe. Listen, Joe Calzaghe then took on Chris Eubank. And then things took off from there because he tested himself. We don't accept cherry picking. We didn't accept it with David Haye when he's taken on Audley Harrison. Listen, a lot of people tuned in. I'm not getting you wrong because David Haye had a huge fan base. But he had stepped up a cruiserweight. He had took on the best. He did become a unified champion. But people expect here in the UK, and if you want to be a star here in the UK, if you want to be earning the big money and have a big fan base, then you do need these domestic fights. Taking on Mehdi Amar isn't going to prepare you for a world title fight. Because ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to, at some point, go take on somebody who's a very, very good fighter. And you're going to get blasted. Because the gap at the level of what you're fighting now to what these guys are is phenomenal. You need that British level experience. And you can say Mehdi Amar and any other kind of previous opponents are higher ranked in the world than a Jose Burton or a Ricky Summers or a Joshua Buatsi. Yeah, because they've had a crap load of fights more against other people who are far worse. So that's all we're asking you to do, Anthony, okay? Go fight this guy, blast him out, and then I want to see you in there with a Ricky Summers, a Hosea Burton. If you really believe that you and Buatsi are going to go on undefeated for a while, okay, fine. Postpone it for a couple of fights. Look at it for, 22, 23 fights in. But you're coming across as soft. And that's the truth of it. We want you in there with the British level fighters. We want to know, are you the real deal? If you can beat these guys, The whole country is behind you. Don't you understand that? You can talk about Frank Buglioni and the fact that he was offered, 200,000 or whatever it is, and he come across as it was unheard of. It's not unheard of. 200,000, yeah, okay, it's pretty decent money. And yes, that would have been a fight that would have been interesting to see. But you know, as well as we know, Frank Buglioni, if you hit him on the button, his legs do tend to go. We've seen it before. Not saying that that wouldn't have been an interesting fight. Of course it would have been. Again, we're not asking you to go after Callum Johnson. Callum Johnson is, in my opinion, above British and Commonwealth level. He's knocking on the door of world level right now. But, there's so many light heavyweights. Why can't you fight the winner of Jake Bull and Craig Richards? Why can't you take on the winner of that? Because you're putting too much emphasis on your ranking. And the only reason that you're ranked high, especially within the WBO, is because your promoter, Frank Warren, has a good relationship with the WBO. Or, look at his stable. Most of them are WBO ranked. Most of them are either WBO champions or former WBO champions. He's got a very good relationship with them. That's the only reason why you're there. But you bypass the whole British level thing. This is why the fans are not warming to you. And you have this delusion, you and your trainer have this delusion that it's okay. Because fans don't know what it is that they're talking about. Fans like what they like. They see what they see. If they don't think that you're giving us all that you can, then they're not going to watch you. They're not going to support you. Just British level, that's all we're asking you to do. Give us the Hosea Burton fight. Give us the winner of Jake Bull and Craig Richards. Give us a Ricky Summers. Hell, we've got Dan Aziz, okay? He's got half the fights what you had. Go fight him. We want to support you, but you're not giving us anything. You can't go around saying lions in the camp and fighting who it is that you're fighting based on the fact that somebody went the distance with Dvorak. It's not impressive. Not at all. Anyway, hopefully, this kind of message, not necessarily from me, but from the general, will reach him and he actually sits down and listens to it. I don't want to be hearing about I only had 12 amateur fights, so therefore, well, that's your fault. You took the money from Frank Warren to turn pro. Nobody twisted your arm to do so. Listen, maybe there was good reason for it. I don't know. But as I said, Dillian Whyte only had 7 amateur fights. But he had to turn pro. He had no choice to turn pro. Because the British Boxing Board of Control were on his back about it. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it all. Of course, you drop me yours. Click the thumbs up to this video. And of course, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.